Got a brake job on a 2010 Ford F-150 FX4. As you can see there, it definitely needs it. So whenever we get this apart, we're going to change the rotor, obviously. But we're going to take a look at this and see if we can figure out what caused this. If both pads are evenly worn, but this one just happened to come in contact with the rotor first, then everything will probably be fine as far as replacing the rotor and the pads. But if there's plenty of meat on the inboard pad, then something's obviously not working right here. So let me get the camera set up, and we'll get started with this. Of course, I got my socket set all set up over here. I think these are 13 millimeter. Now this caliper isn't primed back very easy, so I'm going to go ahead. I've got it pried back a little bit, enough to where we ought to be able to get it right off here, and we'll see if we're going to have to do some more work to get the pistons pried back. And you don't want to hang your caliper by the brake hose, so keep that in mind. Just going to set it up there. And we can already see there was plenty of brake pad on the inboard side. And I think I already see the problem. So if you see that this brake pad here isn't hardly even coming off. Now the customer brought his own pad, so hopefully they come with the hardware, these clips. Because if you saw how hard that particular pad was to come off there, that is not a normal. I'm gonna have to be easy with that, because if it doesn't, let me check this other pad. In fact, you know what? Yeah. Okay, I just looked at the new pads. Did not come with the hardware, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to be careful with these. We can clean these up and probably reuse them again. One thing you do want to make sure that both your pins slide easy. Now this is both these stainless steel retainers is the problem with these brakes, more than likely. You saw how hard that inboard pad was to come off. It wasn't sliding the way it was supposed to. So every time he put on the brake, the caliper was able to move over, pull this pad in to touch the rotor, but this inboard pad wasn't able to move near as easy as the outboard. So the whole caliper would pivot over. So basically on this side, this was the only pad that was actually doing any braking. So I'm going to use a stainless steel brush. I'm going to get in here and I'm going to really clean these pads up and these retainers to make sure that the pads are able to slide properly. And of course, whenever we put the new pads in, we'll make sure that they slide the way they're supposed to. I'm going to pry this one out. I'm going to clean up down in here also. A lot of people value the importance of these being clean. Because what happens whenever this rust gets built up, I don't know if you can see that rust build up in there, but it binds the pad up. And then what you got is a bad rotor because of it. Here's the new rotor. Now before I put this on, I'm going to take some brake clean and we're going to clean it up. You want to make sure you clean up both sides. So yeah, very important that you clean both sides up. Now a lot of times the new brakes will come with these clips. Unfortunately, this particular set did not. He got these, I think that's AutoZone brand. And it's no big deal to reuse them. You just got to clean them up. These are stainless steel. They're spring. I don't know if they're stainless steel, but they're a spring steel. So, yeah, they will get gunked up, but you can see that with just minimal effort, you can get them cleaned back up again. Fit perfectly tight anymore. I'm just tweaking these just enough to put some tension, so they'll stay up there in place. Break these pads out. So I guess these pads do not have a wear indicator. If your pads have a wear indicator, you're going to want to make sure you get that on right. This one is still tighter than hell. For some reason. I don't know what happened to this side, but and it's got a bunch of scaly rust that jeez. That thing is still tight. Okay, I'm going to go get this. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that thing is just built up with just way too much rust. So I'm going to have to get after it with either a grinder or the file. Now, I don't know what's going on there. I've never seen one quite that bad. I mean, this side is how clean you should be able to get it just with a wire brush. Well, I've still got the clips on this side. Yeah, that inboard side, I mean, even on the top one, it's just a little bit not right. So let me get that going. And okay, pretty sure I got it cleaned up. I used a file, dragged the file across it, trued it all up. Clips went in there real good, and now you can see that the brake pad fits in there nice, and it's free to move. So now let me push these pistons got the caliper up here. Make sure the boots are good. So one thing you got to be careful of, if you don't have the proper tool to push both these back at the same time, which I don't, you can use a C-clamp. In most cases. What you don't want to do is push one piston in, because what will happen is it will try to push the other one out. So I'm just going slow. I don't know if I can give you guys a good view of that or not, but I'm on this top piston. I'm just going slow, making sure that I'm not pushing this one out. Once I get it pretty much bottomed out, you can use another C-clamp, but a lot of times I'll just use my channel locks here. They make a tool. I've just never invested in one, so I've never really been in a position where I had to have it. Okay. I don't know if you can see, but both these pistons are now pushed all the way in. Okay, now the one thing you need to pay attention to is when you pull these pads out, you got two pads that look almost identical. You got one, you'll have two in the set that has these little humps right here, then the other one doesn't. Make sure the ones with the humps go against the pistons, and then the one without the humps go on the outboard. You'll also notice the one without the humps has 4 rivets right here. The one with the humps only has the one right here. I guess you'd say 2, and I don't know if they're actually rivets or studs sticking out to hold the pad on, but this one's got 4 total. So again, the little rounded edge goes against the inboard side of the caliper. That's very important. And your caliper should be able to float like that. And a couple things you want to make sure. The 4 studs or rivets right here, make sure that your caliper is not resting on top of them. See where the rounded scallop is right there? That's where the piston makes up to. In fact, you can see the imprint right here. And here's the other one. Anyway, this side's done. The other side's exactly the same. So, this one's done. Like I say, make sure your pistons push back easy. Make sure your caliper floats the way it should, and everything should be good. I wouldn't suspect that this side's going to have a problem anymore. Once I clean this surface up, on the back side of the caliper bracket that was built up with rust, that was the entire problem with this brake system. Anyway, I'm going to throw this tire on. Make sure that you pump your brakes before you put it in gear. You wouldn't think that just that little bit of being away from the caliper would matter, but this brake pedal will go all the way to the floor. Whenever you do both sides and you go to do that initial brake press, it'll go all the way to the floor. You got to pump it at least once or twice before you start getting the pad up against the rotor. If you're in a garage or close, up against something and you put it in gear, you're not going to have any brakes for about the first 1 to 2 pumps. So remember that. Anyway, tire goes on. I'm going to the other side. I'm going to knock this out and we're going to be done. You guys take care.